on this computer. Sweet. Audio options. Okay. Let's see. Now you can hear me, right? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for coming over here. We'll see if other people join. I've got one last thing to fix, but welcome. So as you can see, I've got some questions on the screen, and that's what we'll be answering a bit today, thanks to this wonderful snafu of technology. Good times going on there with everybody. Let's see here. So while that's happening, so did your daughter call it on you anymore? Because you had a lot of markings on the arms going on there. It's like your own custom tattoo. I'm gonna go back. Just keep clicking buttons. Escape out of this. I'm gonna bring up a different screen here. Oh, yeah. That keeps it real. It's keeping it real. Let's see here. Can't get that one. Just gonna send out a notice here. Webinar snafu. New link. Use this link. Okay. I should have used Zoom to begin with. I'm going to try this other system because it had some interesting features, but bit me in the butt. We have okay. Right. Okay. Well, there we be. Now we'll send this out immediately. Do it. Send now. Send now. Send now. Send now. Sweet. Okay. All right. Let me start here just a second. Okay. All right. I can't hear you in the background. Nope. I have you muted, I believe. Oh, I don't, but I can't hear you, so. Okay. So you can hear me, right, Brianne? There. These little spots. And if it's just you and me, this will be fun. I can do that. So let's get started. Okay. Oh, and you can see my Facebook updates in the screen, right? And what you see on the screen is like, we'll start shortly answer these questions in chat, right? Okay. Okay. What time is it? 4:25. Let's do this. So, okay. So today we're going to be talking a bit about these questions. What do you hope to get out of this? What's been the biggest obstacle in getting that desire? And then what would it mean to your happiness to get that obstacle cleared? So we're going to explore this from 3 different secrets that relate to taking action, choosing you first in a way that works for you and is not controlled by the way other people feel. So it's not about their approval. It's not about their disappointment. So, all right. So this week's coaching class is how to choose yourself without being scared as Frak. Now, Frak is a word that comes from Battlestar Galactica. It's one of my favorite sci-fi series, and it's a series really about survival and then transcendence of survival. It's about doing what you need to do and then getting out there and kicking some butt. And plus, Frak is a great word, and we can all use it. People are like, cool. But all right, let's jump in. So I'm happy you're here, Brianne. I'm excited that you showed up. Gives me 1 participant. Hopefully we get some more too. If not, well, we'll just keep doing this until we get a lot more people. Now, there is a special offer. You get to the end of this. And so I encourage you to stay to the end. It's an offer that's only available in the webinar. And it's an opportunity to get connected with the larger resources to help you make breakthroughs in these areas. All right, so I'm Marshall Berkshire. I call myself badass coach to people pleasers and approval junkies. I'm specialized in codependency recovery and evolution. I've done this for over 9 years, various capacities. Been a coach for 9 years. I have worked with hundreds of people one-on-one, dealing with codependent issues, people pleasing, fixing, giving themselves up so that someone else can be happy, helping them establish boundaries, helping them get in contact with who they really are, what they're really about, and what works for them, and then help them take action that gets them those results. I have an 89% success rate. And success is defined as a change in the person's life. The quality of their life improves. Most of my clients achieve the goal we set together, but those that don't make serious progress. Now, it's important to know why there's an 11% failure rate. This is a very critical component to success in general. Success happens when we do the work. We have to do the homework. We got to do the experiments, and that's what they are. These homework I assign is really simple stuff. It's like, go out. And one assignment I just assigned to a client was to go out to the mall and listen to how their body feels around people. And the reason why is because people pleasers don't listen to their body. They listen to the frantic thoughts in their head, and I run around trying to please people based on what the thoughts are giving them. They aren't listening to what their body's feedback is about the situation they're dealing with, about this individual, most of all, about what they want. And so the people who do not succeed with me are people who don't take action, that they don't step out and do the risky thing. They don't do the experiments. And that it's a waste of their time, their money, and their effort, my time. So if you're going to succeed using my system, using my approaches, you got to do it. Because thinking about it's not going to solve or change anything. And just learning about it's not going to do anything. Knowledge is useless unless it's put into action. Okay? So let's click. So throughout my 9 years, throughout growing through this myself, because I've done this, I am a recovered people pleaser. I'm an approval junkie that is recovered into someone I would term as a badass. And that's what the opposite of a junkie is. They're badasses. You got out there and you faced scary things, dealt with scary things, and come through it and improved you and your world because of it. My progress in this has come from, my success in this has come from doing a lot of things right. And we need to know what we do right in order to succeed, right? But we need to know what those right things are. And what I've discovered over the last 9 years is that there's a few things very different for us people pleasers than there are for the normal day-to-day people out there, right? So I've discovered 4 basic qualities. 1, happiness works differently for us. It's backwards. The way we relate, the way we think we relate to people, or the way we should relate to people, is backwards to what happiness is. We think by helping other people feel better about something or about themselves, we're going to be happy. What that does, though, is it sets us up to be dependent on their approval. We have to have them approve of us or be satisfied with what we offered them in order to feel happy, to feel valuable, to feel like we made a good decision. So I want to stop there for a moment and ask a question. How does this relate to your experience? What is coming up for you right now as I talk about these things? What do you see there for yourself? What do you see for you, Brianne? Does this relate to your experience or people you know and their experience? Yeah. That's a big deal right there. Forgiveness of yourself, unless someone else gave it to you. Right. We don't have any control on that. That's a big deal. That's a problem for us. We consider that a problem. We're like, we're stuck. We've got some problems. And we try to control this by manipulating the other person, typically through niceness. That gets us in a real pickle. And overcoming that niceness is a big deal because it allows us to start saying no. So yes, happiness works differently for us. It's the opposite of what we think. It's backwards to us. So we literally gain a lot by doing the opposite thing. And the other thing I've noticed, both personally and professionally, is we've not been taught the essential skills and concepts that help us understand how relationships actually work. Healthy, happy, fun relationships. Instead, we've been taught skills that accommodate other people, that put their needs first, that make them the important person. And we're emptied. We don't know who we are. We're kind of lost in the world because our bearing, our guides, our compass is in them, what they say and what they do. And we're like, I don't know what to do with this. So the third thing I found, this is so important, that none of this conditioning, none of this experience is literally our fault. Zero of it. And this might be hard to believe. This might be hard to digest. The reason this isn't our fault is because we were raised and conditioned by other people to respond to them that way. We didn't know what we wanted. We didn't know that what we wanted mattered. We were not told we were that. We were conditioned to believe that our value was in creating output, was satisfying someone else. And that's a very important concept to understand because we get ourselves in a lot of trouble by trying to please other people that way. So none of this is our fault. We were taught to be this way, but none of this is also who we are. It's not our identity. It's not our nature. Okay. Our real self has very different opinions about what we do. It has a no statement. It's like, nope, I don't want that. I want that. This is not how it's going to work. It's not how it's going to go. But we tune that out routinely. And that's why we get ourselves in these little snafus. Okay. So I've also learned that you will have happiness if you follow a specific framework, a framework that helps us understand how to relate to the world and advocate for ourselves first. Not only, because a lot of people think first means just yourself. Nope. It means we come first and then we consider what the other person wants. And we see how, this is a very powerful question, It's one of the big secrets I teach. How does this fit me? How does this work for me? When we ask that question, we can answer it honestly. We win. We succeed. So that's where our happiness happens. But happiness has a formula, and we need to operate in a way in happiness to allow us to achieve it. So, let's see if it'll change here because it's being stubborn. There we go. I discovered all this the hard way. The hard way, and when you get to cheat, you get to have it the easy way if you follow this principle and you take action on these things. So, the hard way, the way I took, it's a lot of self-help books. And that right there, that picture, that's like 5 self-help books of like 2 or I'll probably have 30 or 40 physical ones. And then I have like 68 digital ones. And then I have like over 100, I'd say 68 Kindle ones, and then over 100 of them in PDF audio format. So I've studied this stuff from a lot of different angles. But I did this initially because I was struggling deeply with depression and with anxiety, with this uncanny fear of other people. And so I just invested in books. The reason I invested in books is because I didn't have to talk to someone else. I didn't have to deal with them. And I didn't have a lot of trust in people at that time. So I had to learn how to do that. So I invested a lot in books. And I thought that if I knew something, it would change my world. But knowing something, again, isn't the same as acting in something. Then I sought out advice from friends and family. And that's kind of got a circular problem because friends and family rarely have experience and expertise outside of you. So unless these people were significantly more successful or advanced in the topic you're looking for, you're not going to make a lot of progress because their advice is going to be within the same pool of experience and awareness that you're in. So it's hard to elevate out of that. Also lone wolfing it, doing it on my own. That was one of the biggest and most expensive mistakes I made, is just trying to figure it out by myself. Then I went and I jumped into talk therapy for a little while. I found therapy to be useful in understanding where I was coming from, but the therapy was not connecting me to actionable concepts and then experiments that helped me grow. And so I exited that with an awareness of where I'm at, but not necessarily significant change. But that's not the diss on therapy. Therapy has its role and its place, and it's very effective with where you're at. So it's a good thing. I just found that I needed something more than what was being provided for me at that time. And then I also tried the fake it until you make it approach, where we just show up and we try to be confident. We try to choose ourselves. We try not to have the anxiety. We try to be strong, that kind of thing. Well, that led me down a road of wanting to die. I hated it. I felt alone. I felt confused. I was never certain about what was going on. It was miserable. I did not enjoy that experience. And it didn't create the outcome I was looking for. The outcome I wanted was to be loved for who I am. I wanted to like myself. I wanted to overcome this terrifying fear of disappointing other people while choosing myself. Okay? So that's the hard way. Now, let's see here. What do you guys think about the hard way? What have you experienced that's been difficult in your world? I'm going to give us a little moment here to type and chat in those things. See what's there. I'm going to click on a thing, so there's going to be a clicky. Make sure they're, oh, yeah, well, at least that's working. Okay. So yeah, the hard way, people have tried therapy. They have done a lot of reading, a lot of books, right? The fake it till you make it. Yeah. Right, it's hard to know what to do in those situations. You don't have a script. You don't have a framework in which to operate this off of. That's a big deal. That's a problem. And that's one reason why therapy failed me, is they didn't give me the scripts. The books didn't give me the scripts. They gave me a concept. They said, confidence is being able to take action without fear, or despite fear. Okay, neat. What do I do with that? So I'm going to go out and do it despite fear. What do I do after it? How do I validate myself in order to feel confident? Right. It is. Therapy is extremely useful for processing and emotional support. But yeah, tools to fix stuff, that's what I was lacking. And I love how you put that, Brianne. Tools to fix stuff. That's right. Okay. There is an easy way to do this. And this easy way does not require you to read a ton of books. It doesn't require you to fumble around in the dark trying. Especially as people pleasers, we also tend to be perfectionists. So we're going to try to do this right so we can control the outcome. It's like, crazy making. Along with continuing to tolerate what you've been living with, why try to figure it out? My God, I did that for years. It's like, oh, I'll try this while, nothing is really expected to change on the other person's part. Or, I'm just going to live with this anxiety while I do this. Isn't the point to get out of the anxiety? Yeah. Then the faking it. You don't need to fake it anymore. And you don't have to talk. The goal here is to have change that is simple, that allows you to break through the anxiety without too much more pain. Okay? So the strategy that I approach from, it gives you the clarity, the strategies for your relationships. That means it gives you structure on how to respond to certain situations like conflict, disagreement, that kind of thing. It also helps you produce solutions, or it actually gives you solutions that produce the results you want. This is a critical component here. We can get results, but is that the result we want? Because a lot of times it's about, I got a result. I don't want this. I don't know what to do with it. Getting the results we want requires a specific set of variables to be in place. I know what those variables are, and we can help you get those and break through so that you begin to produce results you want on a regular basis, and that builds your confidence and your sense of security up in that situation, whatever it is you're addressing. You also begin to get what I call emotional freedom and peace. Emotional freedom and peace are important components we often are seeking in our lives. Hi, Grace. Welcome. You haven't missed too much, Grace, and there's going to be a replay, so you can jump right in on that when that's done. But welcome. I'm happy you're here. I'm Marshall Bircher. I'm here with Brianne. We're just talking about the beginning of what, exploring things. Right now, we're talking about my strategy and what it can give you. And then we're going to jump into the 3 secrets for building up your confidence, dealing with choosing yourself. So you're welcome to post questions or comments in the group chat. I am happy you're here. So yeah, emotional freedom and peace. Emotional freedom and peace are about feeling good, right? I want to feel free to feel what I feel. That's a big deal for us people pleasers. We're not allowed to feel certain things. We've been told that, that anger, that's wrong. That's selfish of you. Oh, you don't want to do this? How selfish of you. We've been shunned and shamed for what we feel. So we feel, to use that word again, we respond to that in a way of trying to control, minimize, and dismiss our emotions, when in reality, we want to feel free to feel whatever emotion comes up and to celebrate that emotion, to understand it. Now, peace comes when we find closure with a circumstance. We have a total emotional acceptance of what it is. And that takes time, because sometimes we've got to grieve, sometimes we've got to be angry, sometimes we've got to go through the process of negotiating with it until we accept what it is. But that does come, and the system allows you to accomplish that. Further, the way that's easy gives you a framework for living life as the badass you are. And that's my big movement. That's what I'm about. Because that's the approval junkies, the people pleasers, the fixers, the rescuers. We're powerful people. We're powerful people who've been conditioned to give ourselves up for the benefit of someone else. And often those people we give ourselves up for don't care about what we've done for them. They don't appreciate us. They don't recognize us. They demand more and more and more from us. And this empties us. It robs us of our happiness. Is that something you guys can relate to, that experience of giving yourself up and not getting, well, being empty and not being respected and loved? So imagine you can. I'm going to give it a few seconds here because I know the typing, especially if you're on a phone, this can be on phones. Texting, gotta swipe it. Right, Brianne. Yes. It's a big deal. It's a big situation that way. And it's do you like living that way? Does that bring us happiness? Is that fun? For me, it was hell. It was absolute hell. And my experience comes from my stepmother. She demanded everything. She demanded I give up my mother. My mother died, and she literally told me to get over it. And my dad made a special rule so we didn't have to discuss my dead mother. Just like, what? So they require you to give all this stuff up, right? Well, the easy way, the way that really produces results, has a framework to help you choose you first so that you don't give yourself up. You actually advocate for your happiness with your every time you say no. And I have a saying there, I'm just going to throw this out to you because it's a really cool little concept. Your happiness is found in the no. So your no leads to your happiness. Say no. That's going to actually give you a lot more satisfaction because you're honoring you more. And so that's, like I said a little earlier, happiness for us people pleasers, is backwards than what it is for other people. So no is our gateway to happiness, whereas for other kinds of people, yes would be their gateway. Okay, the system also brings you power and confidence based on experience. You get to see that it works. You're doing it. You get to see that you can do it. That's a big deal. Because a lot of times we all have this insecurity about, can I do it? Am I worth it? Am I a fraud? What's going on? So yeah, we got to knock that out. It also helps you begin to nurture real love, real compassion, and smiles on your face, you know? And it helps you realize that love is a feeling and an action, and that you deserve to have that, and compassion for yourself, because you're not a screw up, you're not a failure, you're not the problem. And then with that, you can begin to take action to achieve your dreams, to do the daring things, to do the badass things in your life that you've been avoiding doing because you've been waiting for permission, or you've been scared to be crass, scared shitless to do it. I swear a bit, so, beware. Let's see, Brianne says, I can relate to being told I am selfish for expressing my needs. Yep. Our needs matter. See, the needs aren't the problem. Often the only issue is that we try to get our needs met in ways from people who are not available. And that teaches us, we interpret that as there's something wrong with us. But that's not the truth. So we're just fine, and our needs are just fine. Our wants are just fine. We're just going about it the wrong way, the wrong resource with the wrong skill to get it met. Okay. Now there's more specifics here. I'll just brief through. You can nurture and bolster your inner badass confidence. Hi, Lily. Welcome. We're still in the first half, the first beginning stages of the webinar. Thank you for showing up. The other thing screwed up. Technology. Usually it's my friend, but not today. But we're talking about the easy way of building up your life, because the hard way is all about trying to force it, trying to please your others, to fake it till you make it, read lots of books, lone wolf it, stuff like that. And there's a replay, and I invite you to, and I encourage you to watch that. So when that gets up later tonight, I'll let you know. But the easy way, the way that actually produces results and puts you first in your life without having to contend with that huge amount of anxiety, it bolsters your self-confidence, makes you the badass you are. It evolves your inner pleaser, accommodator, fixer, and rescuer. Evolution. See, I'm not about replacement. Like a lot of times when we get into self-help, they're like, replace your habit with a new habit. Replace your thought with a different thought. So you're sitting there going, okay, I have this angry thought or this shame thought. I'm going to replace it with love. Get in there. You kind of like squish it in. Get in there, lovey thought. No. What I do, and this is really something that makes me stand out within the crowd, because there's just a lot of us out there, is I use that trigger. I use that experience of shame or anxiety or panic or insecurity to trigger a new script. And that script leads you into confidence, into peace. I call it emotional reassociation or emotional evolution. So we re-script it. And it's a really cool process because we don't have to get rid of the feeling you initially had. No, we get to use it to your advantage. I worked myself out of a clinically diagnosed anxiety disorder. I was diagnosed at 8, and I developed severe panic disorder because of it in my late teens, where I attempted to take my life 3 times within 18 months because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. It was overwhelming. And this rescripting process that I developed saved my life, saved my sanity. I was able to get out of that anxiety. Now, I'm not saying I don't have anxiety, but when I do, it moves to confidence, it moves to peace almost instantly. Most of the time it's instant to the point I don't even recognize it. But that's something we can do there. Now, emotions are made to feel safe. They're made safe to feel, communicate, and close. What I mean by close is feelings like anger, grief, things like that need closure. Love needs expansion, connection, validation. And then they need to be shared. So we get to share them, and they matter because that relates to one of the big secrets here, and we're going to connect with that first. And we get to choose ourselves first. We get to learn that conflict can be a source of intimacy. And that's a tricky one. I'm not going to go too much into that. I want you to think about that. Might go into that a little bit later. Then you get to understand what your core priorities are, and you get to end procrastination. Because when you know who you are, you know what you want, procrastination goes out the door. All right, so let's go. Results may vary in this work, these processes, but they require you. The results, like I have that 89% success rate. Remember that 11%? The results vary because people don't do the homework. They don't take action. You gotta take action. This is not a quick fix. You will not walk away from this webinar going, oh, the world is solved. Thank you, Marshall. No, you're gonna walk away from this webinar with action items you can do for yourself and that you can take into the future with you. And then you've got to apply them because you're changing the way you think. So that's a big deal right there. It's not out there to avoid growth. Growth is your friend, and this is not about manipulating others. And I put that in there because sometimes we get people that come to these things in order to learn tools how to try to get their other person to be a certain way. And I put that in there to call them out on the carpet because manipulation is a big no-no. I am not a fan. Okay, so here's 3 secrets we're going to talk about. We ready for this? Say yes in the chat or no, but yeah, Brianne's ready. Brianne's really ready. And Grace and Lily, I hope you're ready. So here we go. Secret number 1. We're going to talk about real worth and the self-regard and why it's not your fault you struggle with it. Okay. And secret number 2, how to approach rejection, disappointment from others with concrete confidence. This is a cool thing. This is something you got to act on, though. You have to practice this one. Well, you have to practice all 3 of them for them to really stick. And then the one truth that ends all people pleasing. And then you have to stay to find out, right? I want you to stay it. There's valuable stuff here. So, okay. So secret 1, real worth and self-regard, and why it's not your fault you struggle with it. I want you to read that. Real worth is not built on being valued for what you do. How do you relate to that? What comes up for you there? Yeah, I can hear the typing happening. All the typing. Right. Visible results, and you're not very worthwhile. Right. Right. There's this concept in relating. I call it it's a spectrum, but there's two strategies. Oh, I bet. Especially as a mother, because there aren't apparently many, especially for outsiders to look at. Because it's not like when you're a great mother, you're driving around a BMW, right? Or you have like 10 gold stars on your arm for being a badass mom. No, you're sitting at McDonald's and the kids are like throwing food at each other and screaming. Yeah, yeah, good times there. So being valued for what we do, it's this relationship model, the strategy. There's two of them. There's what's called connection-centered relating and benefit-centered relating. When we're in a benefit-centered relationship, meaning the other person wants us to be or do something for their satisfaction, like, oftentimes it's money, sex, food, entertainment, that kind of stuff. Being valued for what you do comes into that place, because they get upset when you stop doing the thing, right? I'm not going to be making dinner no more. Oh, what? I get angry. Or you say no to something that you don't want to do. Maybe you've done it in the past, but you don't want to do it right now. They get upset. That tells you they're coming from a benefit-centered point of view on the relationship. This, when you're growing up, especially with parents who would fall in the codependent or narcissistic spectrum of relating, they value us for what we do, but they don't praise us for who we are. So we start feeling like our value is only in making them feel better. See, so when they feel better, I feel better about myself. When they feel better, I have permission to be relaxed, peaceful, do my thing, be who I am. But that value compass of permission still locked in them. Real worth is not built on this concept. No. And this is also why we feel empty, lost, and worthless, especially when they don't need us. This is where we lose a sense of ourselves, because it's been invested over there, not within us. No, real value is built on a very different concept. Anybody want to make a guess what it is? I want to see if there's a guess. I'm going to give it a sec here. Just being alive? Well, yeah, that's one option. No. Real worth is built on being valued for who you are. And this is a trick, because who we are is not what we produce. Who we are is the fact we exist, but it's also being acknowledged at the emotional level. That's what we're really looking for, both from ourselves and from others. Being valued happens when we're acknowledged and seen emotionally, physically, operationally. It's like, oh, I see you're feeling angry. I care about that. I care about how you feel. Now that's another relevant, I should have put this on the slide, I'll have to add it. How I care about how you feel is a statement that someone would say to you that is cares about who you are, that values your existence, that values you. Because what we normally identify with is as part of ourselves, right? It's not what we do most of the time, it's what we feel. So, I feel this, and I feel that. And, am I in the adult room? Well, no, Doug, I'm not. I'm not even sure what that is. Gotta change those spam filters. But it's, but being valued for who we are is an emotional experience. I mean, take a moment and recall when someone stepped into your world and said, I see you're really hurting. Are you okay? What can I do? Can I just be with you? Can I help you? By just sitting here? Can I hold you? Or when somebody said, I really see the amount of effort you put into that. You kicked some ass there. I know it failed, but you put effort into that. Did you have those experiences? Sometimes we have them and we forget them because they're rare. But even synthesize it, model it, imagine it in your head, and you're like, how does that feel for you? Does it improve your sense of value, your sense of like, I'm loved, I'm seen, I'm valuable? Because when we really get into that emotion, those connections, and we feel that, that's where we are being valued for who we are. Now, this is two ways, both from other people and from ourselves. When we value what we feel, like I value my boundaries. So like last weekend, I got inexplicably punched. I was out downtown and got punched out of the blue. And I felt a lot of panic and confusion. And if I had been my people pleaser self, I would have accommodated that person's feelings. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. I know that must have scared you. You must really feel bad. No, I was like, that will not happen again. And I ended it. And I just kept walking. I knew the person. So I was able to say that to him, and I got the hell out of there. So I was okay. Because that's what my body wanted. My body wanted to be safe and stood up for. I honored what I felt. So honoring ourselves, honoring our emotions, standing up with them improves our sense of value, because value is an emotional experience. All right. And that relates to boundaries and saying no. That relates to being honored in our requests and complaints, all of that. So I want you to sit here for a moment and think about how you can value what's an area in your life right now that needs you to value it. Where do you need value in your life right now? I want you to tell me in the chat. And we're going to do a little experiment. I'm going to talk about a couple of clients and their progress too. What do you think there? That's fine. Take your time, because I've got a question that can help there too. But if you're having a hard time labeling what you need value in, that is actually an indicator that this is something that's not been reflected back to you often or acknowledged. So taking a time to describe what it is, its qualities, or the actions involved can help you inform yourself on it. Okay. Okay. So when we find that out, there's a way to start validating things. Like we can validate a difficult emotion, or we can validate an experience or category of your life with what I call an affirming question. Now, the affirming question is a modified version of what's called the Sedona method. And I've studied the Sedona method since 2014, so it's been like, 3 years? And it's a question-based release method. It's really easy, it's really simple, and the questions are all hypothetical. They're not commands. A lot of people take them as commands. They're not commands. So if I could, would I acknowledge and honor whatever it is? Like I'm gonna do this for me. I'm gonna say, if I could, would I acknowledge and honor the anxiety I had when the webinar crashed? And I thought, oh God, no, I've really screwed this up. And if I could, when would I do that? I'd do it now. And that feels, I'm gonna give that a moment to sit for, but yeah, if I could, would I acknowledge that? Yeah, I feel this sense of relief, like I'm okay. Like, oh, well, that was embarrassing, but we got a solution, but I'm still okay as a person. I don't know what people think about it. I'll probably find out when I do the review, but I'm still okay. I've got this. And I'm actually feeling pretty proud that I solved the problem as quick as I did. So yeah, kudos, great. Now I want you to take your situation or your emotion, and I want you to apply that question right now to you. If I could, would I acknowledge and honor this emotion? If I could do that, when would I do that? How does that feel for you? What do you get out of that? Okay, Brianne, let's do this. If you could, would you acknowledge and appreciate the amount of emotional energy you give to your children? And if you could do that, when would you do that? Just let me know in the chat what comes up for you. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Big sense of relief because I spent a lot of time. Yeah, there you go. Do you like that relief? Okay. Children. So, yeah, if you, most of the time people like the relief. Sometimes they're not comfortable with it because it's really new. It's like, oh my God, I'm feeling different about the situation. Oh, I like it, but there might be consequences to this. And that makes it uncomfortable. Like, do I have permission to feel this way? Of course you do. And actually, permission is a really, really important structure. We're going to get into that a little bit, but that's important. Okay. So one of my clients, and the first session I had with this individual, he was petrified of disappointing other people. And so I gave him this tool. And I said, you know, if you could, would you give him permission to be disappointed? And if you could do that, when would you do that? And I've been working with him for about 5 sessions now. And every single time he gets better and better at not caring about their disappointment with that one phrase. That release set him free. It's one of the most powerful tools I have because that's just one of over 100 different clients I've used that with that have all seen the same result. They feel better. So that matters. So I want you to use this tool. It's simple. And because it's simple, it can be deceiving. Like, oh, it's so simple. Why should I use it? Aren't we going for the easy way? Aren't we going for the way that works, the way that produces results? Well, this is one of those things that is in that category. So that's what it's like, okay? All right, now I got number 2. We're going to deal with, Briance's. Well, yeah, I was asking if you liked it. Did you like feeling that sense of relief? Is that something you enjoy feeling? Yep, she likes it. And is it a comfortable thing to feel? That chat is slow, isn't it? But yeah, I imagine it is comfortable. So I'll respond to you when you chat. But secret number 2. How to approach rejection and disappointment from others with concrete confidence. And this relates to this other experiment I just talked about, this other client's experience. I mean, isn't that why we're here? Because we're scared about rejection and disappointment. Why are we scared about it? Well, it relates to that first secret. How are we being valued? If my value is in what I do, rejection is detrimental to my value, right? But if I'm valued for who I am, rejection speaks to something very, very different. And that we're going to talk about in secret number 3. But for now, let's understand that reality, reality, that connection there. So how do we approach rejection and disappointment from others? First, we need to understand what confidence isn't. Okay, we have a lot of confusion about what confidence is. Confidence is not about being perfect. Confidence is not about making mistakes or errors. It's not about avoiding failure or not having flaws, not having limitations, or lacking something like anxiety, uncertainty, fear. It's not actually knowing what to do. It helps. Knowing what to do helps, but it's not all of confidence. And it's not about avoiding conflict or disappointing others. Confidence also is not something that we tend to think if I'm a confident person, I feel it all the time. It's like, well, every day I feel it at like 700% all the time. And if you have a dip in that, it goes down to like 2%. I'm not really a confident person. Confidence has cycles. It ebbs and flows, and we have to nurture it. It's not a given. It is something we have to foster, we have to feed, and we have to encourage. So, what confidence is? Confidence is curious. It's not attached to the outcome. It doesn't need the outcome to be a certain way in order for it to feel safe. And now it's willing to deal with failure. It's willing to deal with webinars that crash right when things get started, right? See, if I had come from the disconfident or unconfident point of view, I would have like maybe ran away and cried and then just like shut down Facebook and vanished from the world. No, I said, we have a problem. We're going to solve this thing. I was frustrated. I was a little panicked, but then I breathed. I got curious. I'm like, how can we make this work? So, and you guys showed up. See, this works. Confidence is also flexible. It's willing to deal with what comes down the pipe. It doesn't need things to be a certain way. It wants to understand what they will be. That's part of that curiosity. It does experiments. Like this webinar stuff, this online coaching, free coaching class stuff I'm doing. This is the first time I've ever done this. I've been in business for 9 years. My expertise has been in one-on-one work. Now I'm doing it this way. This is really cool. I'm doing an experiment. I'm liking it so far. I'm enjoying it. It's teaching me how to communicate better with you guys and to, hey, I can do this. Kind of like getting in the big leagues. It's really cool. I'm willing to be wrong. Confidence says I'm okay being wrong because I'm curious. I don't need to be right. I just want to find out what the reality is, what the truth is. See? Now, confidence also embraces action despite fear, anxiety, doubt, a lack of energy. It acts. See, a lot of times we're running around the world chasing action with feeling. So I'm going to wait until I feel. Have you guys done this? Have you done this where you're like sitting there going, well, when I feel happy, I'll do this. When I feel confident, I'll do that. So is that something you guys have done? I know I've done it. I did it yesterday. I think I did it on money too. Oh, good. Yeah, Monday, not money, but Monday. Is that something we do? Right. Yeah. Once I gain this skill or look like this, I can do this thing or I can have this or that. Right? That's called chasing action with a feeling. And that is the number one cause of procrastination, the number one cause of failure in our lives. No, what we do is we chase feeling with action. See, if I hadn't chased my desire to succeed, to get out there and do this, that little webinar, when the browser crashed, I'd have been, but no. I'm like, I'm a confident person. I'm living it. I'm choosing it. I took the action that then now, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm just elated. I'm having a lot of fun. I've got 3 other people here talking to me. I love it. So it fed my desire to feel like I'm contributing and I'm making a difference. And I hope I am. So now, confidence also helps you discover what to do. See, knowing what to do and discovering what to do can be tricky. I worked in IT for 16 years formally and 20 years total. I learned real quick that my assumptions about what something was generally off. So I needed to use a different approach. And that was, I need to discover what the real problem is and then see how it relates to the solutions I know. That's what confidence does. We're also resourceful, which ties into what I was just talking about. Oh, I know how to discover a problem. I know how to research to find a solution and then take that and do the other thing we've talked about, which is experiments to see if it works. And I'm fully willing to disappoint other people. I imagine there's probably a few people who signed up for this class that are disappointed right now with the failure or with me. I certainly know that there's a couple people in existence that are disappointed in me. But yeah, I thrive because that's the point. We can thrive. Okay. So that's what confidence is. Now here's how we're going to put it into action. The confidence boost. This is still those questions from the Sedona method, or at least the question format. These questions I've created myself. So there's a way to handle the disappointment of someone else. And it deals with permission and authority. Say we're autonomous beings. That's a technobabble word, personal autonomy. Really what it means is you have two rights. One, you have the right to exist. You have the right to take up space. What do you think about that? The right to take up space. What does that do for you? What comes up for you in that? There we go, Brianne. Yeah. You don't have to earn your keep. You have a right to exist. A lot of times as people pleasers, we shrink from the world, so we're hiding. Like, oh God, they see me. I like this. Because a lot of times we've been attacked for being who we are, so naturally we want to hide so we don't have to get attacked. Well, we have a right to exist. We have a right to be different. We have a right to take up space. In fact, the simple fact that you exist in this moment, you're taking up space. You're breathing. So I want you to give yourself permission to exist. Okay. The second right of the two rights is the right not to care. That gives us what's called emotional autonomy. And this is where this permission structure comes from. These little tools here are really valuable. Now, you're going to all get a copy of this slideshow so that you can use these. So you don't, I mean, you could be scrolling it down or whatnot, but you're also going to get it in the email. So don't, and you'll get a copy of this as a replay so you can watch it. Okay, so the questions here to help us begin to experience our personal autonomy. I bet you were just writing it down. But do write down notes because, you know, that helps your retention, it helps your comprehension, all of that. So, all right, so these three questions I find radically change the way clients begin to relate to the people they're afraid of disappointing if they consistently apply them and allow themselves to integrate what they feel when it comes up. That's key. That's one thing I have found in my 9 years of being a coach that is not done well. And I'm guilty of not doing it well. And in the last year, I've made a huge commitment to doing this better. And it's called integration. Okay. So you have a release, you have a new feeling come up. Like Brianne did. She had a feeling of relief come up. Now we're going to integrate that by breathing it in and asking ourselves to allow that to be our natural set point with that kind of experience. So integration comes with this. So we're going to play with it here. Permission is a secret to boosting confidence. It's one of the secrets I teach. Permission, okay? And permission is granted in a couple of different ways, but this is the easy way. If I could, would I give them permission to be disappointed? If so, when would I? When we grant someone permission, it takes the pressure off most of the time. What comes up for you guys when you think about granting that person permission to be disappointed in you? What does it feel like? Is it a relief? Are you curious about it? There we go. Yeah, it makes me feel like I have a release of responsibility not to disappoint. Right. Do you feel a lot more freedom there, Brianne? Right, and make people proud of you. Yeah, you feel more freedom. Yeah, you do the stuff and not for other people. How does your life change? What can your life be now that you, if you choose to apply this consistently, what would you change, man? What, you start getting what you want. It's like, oh, I can complain about this. You know, complaining is one of the funniest rights of existing, because people pleasers don't complain. They shut it down. If I complain, I'm going to get punished. Now we just break out of that. We're like, we complain and complain. And we're like, yeah, because now we're voicing our opinion, our points of view on things. Because we don't have to be nice anymore. Niceness and kindness are not the same thing. We're actually going to do a class on that in the future, or if, you know, there's other things you can do to learn that right now too. Now, the second question, if I could, would I let myself disappoint them? Would you give yourself permission to disappoint other people? What's that like? I mean, for me, just sitting here, when I think about that, I feel so good, because it's like, yeah, I can go do my thing. I don't have to worry about it anymore. My mind is like, great, now I can go to sleep again because I don't have to sit there and figure this out. I have this huge boost of energy. And the third question, if I could, would I love myself just as I am, despite their disappointment? This is the question that gets us to a place where we can start integrating love with someone being disappointed. In other words, remember that rescripting I talked about with the anxiety? It's like anxiety boosts confidence for me. This is a rescripting moment where it's like, oh, they're disappointed in me, and I can feel an increase of love for myself. That doesn't mean we ignore any sadness or grief that might come from their disappointment, because sometimes it's really sad to disappoint someone. Maybe we're breaking up with them. Maybe we're ending something that's been really important to both of us. So, you know, their empathy and compassion come into that place, but we can still love ourselves, because people pleasers, the approval junkie in us, sits there and goes, oh, you did a naughty, let's shame you. Just buckets, truckloads, astronomical explosions of shame onto you because, you know, for some reason you deserve this shame, which is utterly BS. You don't. But this inhibits that. It gets in the way and says, oh, I'm going to love myself. Even if you feel the shame, you can just bounce right back into love. Because you, again, this comes back to the right to exist. You also have a right to feel love despite circumstances, despite other people's approval or disapproval. Right to take up space means the right to take up space being loved. Okay, cool. So that's how we boost our confidence. That's how we begin to become resilient to other people's disappointment. But this requires you to, one, do it, and two, allow yourself to integrate that feeling. And integration is a pause, a deep breath, and you just let yourself be it. You give yourself permission to revel in that feeling until you want to move forward. So how are we all doing? Because there's a lot of me talking. I'll check in how you guys are doing, how this is going for you. If you've got any questions, we're almost there. Let's go here. Oop. Why is that? Oh, there it goes. It's working. Okay, cool. So this has been helpful. Good. All right, so I have several clients that find immediate relief with this. I mean, Brianne just did. She's not a client, but she just did. This stuff works. So I got to apply it. So I'm going to kind of skip over that. And I just talked about that too. So we can just move to the next one. Boom. Now, the bonus tip. This is called the yawn and stretch thing. A lot of times us people pleasers live with anxiety, or we live with depression. And there's a man named Mark Waldman. He is a neuroscientist that's also a psychologist out of Louismont University down in San Diego. And he developed a mindfulness approach of just yawning and stretching. And if you do that, and you do it 4 or 5 times in a row, your body will immediately relax and become centered in the present moment. So I want you to do that now. want you to just yawn with me. And then a slow stretch where you can just feel your muscles tense and relax. A nice deep breath. Because even I'm slowing down a bit. This helps us get energized, to get focused, to do our thing. Okay, so secret number 3. This is the one truth I've learned that really changes the world for me. It helped me understand a lot about why my relationships didn't change even though I did. It also helped me leave a marriage that wasn't working for me. I was married 10 and a half years. We divorced amicably because it wasn't working for us. Helped me help me leave a job that was no longer functioning for me. Help me understand how to build a business that works, that serves people, that gives them what they need, and brings me both income, revenue, and satisfaction. It's called FIT, and what it is. So, how many of you guys played with this toy as a kid? How many of us, you try to squish the star shape into like that cross hole or the round hole? Sometimes the shape would fall through the hole, but it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't make sense there, get too loose. Right. Relationships are like this. Relationships function from this existence of fit. Now, to know what fit is, it has 4 basic qualities, okay? And I call it the 4 quadrants of fit. So I have this big thing on the screen now with all these things. So I want you to take a moment, and I want you to focus on the A group. And it says, loved for who you are. I remember we talked a little while ago about one of the secrets to resiliency is being loved for who we are. Real worth is based on loving ourselves for who we are. While the A group builds on this concept, it's the quality of connection rather than quantity. We don't need 10,000 people that love us. We need people, even 2 people that really love us can create a huge amount of stability in our lives. Now, they also make sense to us, and we make sense to them. It's that, oh, I get you. I get what you're about. That's what A group's about. We have chemistry. It's fun. It's playful. It's uplifting. It's kind. They reciprocate. They also respect us. This is where love is found in the A group. This is where compatibility exists. And this exists for people, for all your types of relationships. It also exists for careers, jobs, and businesses, and things that you have in your life. I'm a big car guy. I have a 1970 Chevelle Malibu. It's my grandmother. She willed it to me when she passed away. I've loved that car since I was 5. And that car is a little spooky. It would not work for my ex-wife. Every time she drove it, it would break down. One time, she literally drove it to a different parking spot, like 3 parking spots over, and it wouldn't start for a week for her. She's like, don't like her. Things that love us are seeking us, and the things we love are seeking us as well. So, A group is where our happiness is. It's where our fulfillment is. It's where our dreams come true. Most of us, we live in the B or C groups. This is where we're typically valued for what we do, or we're being chased and demanded for more. So, look at that B group. Wanting others for what they do, right? I got a little typo there. Isn't that awesome? So, tend to be chasing the person. We've all been in a relationship like that where we're just chasing after them. They're running away, like, get away, I'm not interested. They're indifferent, they're cold, non-responsive. They don't reciprocate, right? We've all done that. Especially in our teens, like, why is he into me? Yep, if he's not into you, you're in the B group. He is in what's called the C group, being wanted for what you provide. You're being chased. It's an annoyance. I imagine, especially, I see this a lot, women are chased more than they chase, it seems. So you got all this chasing after you, and you're like, stop it, I don't like this. It's violating my boundaries. You are the one running. You're in that C group there. pressure to respond and engage. You don't want to. It's boring. It's lethargic. It's difficult. It's draining. That's your C group. B group, it's exhausting. They don't initiate, that kind of thing. Now I have the D group, unwanted or uninterested. These are the people you pass at the grocery store or on the sidewalk. They're not really relevant to anything. They don't matter. Now, if we want to be happy in our lives, if we genuinely are seeking fulfillment, we need to start looking at where our relationships, our jobs, our business, our daily activities, where we're putting ourselves in these quadrants. Are we living out of an area of the A group? Are we over here in the B group chasing things, hoping, waiting, praying? Are we in the C group just avoiding stuff? I'm going to deal with that right now. I don't want that. That's going to go away. Stop it. What are we doing there? That's what we have to figure out. We have to become honest with ourselves about what's going on there. So, fit, we got to know ourselves, right? We got to get into that A group. This is how. We have to know who we are. We got to know our shape. Or if we go back to this toy, if I think I'm like I'm the triangle, I'm going to put it in the cross thing, it ain't going to work. I'm going to have a hell of a time. That was my marriage. It's never going to work. It fundamentally can't work. I can't be happy in this relationship because we don't make sense together. It's not that there's something wrong with me or with her. It's that we are different, and that is the problem. The relationship creates the dysfunction because we're innately not compatible. Okay? We got to know what our shape is. So let me get back to here. The way we start to find our shape out is first by listening to our body. Our body knows what it wants. It knows us better than our mind does. So we start listening to its intuitive impulses. Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I don't. Start learning what those impulses are. We look at how we manage our finances and how that works for us, how sex works for us, how our emotions work and how we want to be treated in them, what our love models are, what power really is and how we use it, how power works in our life for us, for ourselves. Then nature. What is my nature? I'm an introverted person. So like when I'm done here, I'm going to take a 30-minute nap so I can recharge, so I can get this up on the web. I can take care of 2 clients I have this evening. And, then I can like veg for a little bit after that. But I got to know these things about myself. I got to know what kind of humor works for me. I've got to know how love works. That's the love languages. I'm verbal affirmation, physical affection orientation. If we don't know that, I'm going to be in relationships where people are like, I don't get this, or I don't get them. I need to know what my real dreams are. Now, I'm not talking like taking over the world. I'm talking about dreams that, hey, I love to go to a concert once a month. That's been a dream of my life for years, so I do it now. Bigger dreams is like depending on what the political situation looks like, I'm going to go visit the Chernobyl nuclear power plant next June on a tour. That sounds crazy, but that's just me. I'm a little crazy. We need to know what our differences are, because differences aren't a problem. They've been attacked in the past. Other people have used them against us. But not fitting with someone also tells us how we fit. It gives us hints about our shape so that when we do meet a person, place, or thing that works for us, it feels different than trying to force ourselves into a position that doesn't work. So I'm going to give yourself a moment with all that because I know there's a lot there. And if you're scribbling frantically, let's take a breath. I'm going to breathe because it's big stuff. We're moving quickly. There's a lot going on. Okay. But yeah, Chernobyl. Kind of crazy. Okay. So, conflict and intimacy. On a couple slides back, I mentioned that conflict can equal intimacy. And when I teach this to clients, when I live it out in my own life, it kind of blows people's minds. They're like, "What?" And I swear I'm a little crass in my language, but this is a statement that I find very true and very, very useful or meaningful. Intimacy is found in the shit of life. It's found in the difficulties. It's found in the struggle. A lot of times we equate intimacy to the flowers, the pretty things. But the difficulties are fertilizing the flowers. We feel safe with someone. Don't we? Don't you feel safe with someone when you can have a conflict with them and they respect you? They hear you. They honor you. Don't you feel safer with them? Don't you feel more love for them? You feel closer to them? When they're like, yeah, I totally get that we disagree on this, but I'm here. Because they don't run away. They don't run away because they're in a connection-centered relationship with you. They're not in this benefit-centered relationship where I'm not getting what I want, so I'm going to stonewall you. I'm going to just be silent. I'm just going to cut you off. No. Intimacy is largely nurtured in how we deal with our differences and our conflicts. So it's not just about, oh, I like being with you. It's that I really feel safe going into the difficult things with you. And knowing how we manage conflict, what our tendencies are, helps us foster intimacy. So what I'm really saying there is like, I have an conflict avoidant personality. I don't like conflict. Now, conflict naturally causes anxiety, right? For me, it's petrifying. I'm like, stop. I will freeze. I will shut down. It is what I am. And I've made progress on getting out of that, but I've not eliminated it. I'm not sure it can be eliminated. But what I have discovered with that rescripting tool is like when I shut down, I become cognizant of where I'm at, and then I'll discuss it. It's okay that I'm anxious. It's okay that my heart's pounding it out of my chest. It's okay that I need a moment to center, because that's how I handle conflict. I'm not bad or wrong for that. When I realized that, conflict became a lot easier. So knowing how your conflict works, knowing you, knowing your shape in conflict, knowing your shape in success, knowing your shape in intimacy, in sex, in play, in your dreams. That's how we figure out where we fit. Because then we can apply our shape to things and go, oh, that doesn't work for me. Okay, now I'm going to go over here. That works for me. See? Where it works, we have a fit. Where it doesn't, we have a conflict. It doesn't fit, right? So this relates back to that value of how does this work for me? That question. If you put that question first in your life, you will quickly learn who you are and where you fit and where you don't. And guess what? You don't have to fit everywhere. It's not required. Comes back to the A group. Back to these. The A group is, you got 3 other groups you don't fit in. Just go play in the A group. Easy. All right. Fit makes relating easy. It makes relationships simple. Compatibility becomes a natural experience. You don't got to force it. It allows you to explore this concept of love is a reason to explore a relationship. Compatibility is why you keep it. Think about that for a little bit, because that's got a lot of power in it. It becomes you-based, meaning you're actively involved. You're always included in the choices. Whereas in the people-pleaser paradigm, we're not choosing ourselves. They're the priority. I accommodate them. They matter. Their feelings come first. No, you come first in this. It eliminates the fixing, caretaking, proving, pleasing, accommodating behaviors that come with codependent behavior. And those behaviors are B group. They're chasing. Avoidance, numbness, running, silence is C group behavior. So if you're having that in your relationships, you can now know where you're lining up. That doesn't mean your relationship is doomed to fail. What it means is that you've got to improve your skill sets on both parties. Everybody involved in the relationship have to improve their skill sets to come from the A group. Because A group is vulnerable, it's open, it's direct, it's honest, it's clear, it's kind. So, okay. Okay, so we have, in my 9 years of doing this, there are barricades that I've consistently experienced with myself and with clients to making change in your life. It's scary as Frak to choose you. That's one of the big barricades. And we're knocking on that barricade right now. Now, there's also the doubt that you can do it. There's the skepticism that it'll work. Today, we have given you some tools, given you a chance to experience personally, real time. Does this work for me? Yeah. Now, you've been given some big concepts you can start to chew on and go, this makes sense to me. I can see that this will work for me. So that knocks it out that it'll work. It knocks out the skepticism around it. And it can also show you that you can actually do it. See, you don't have to wonder because now you have the experience, which means you can go forward by doing more. Okay. Now, hi, Carolyn. Welcome. We're in the latter half of the webinar, but there's going to be a replay, and I'll be sending that out to you. So right now we're talking about barricades to making change. We just got finished talking about the 3 secrets, but you'll be receiving a link to the webinar and the PDF to the slides. So, okay. Now, a lot of times as people pleasers, we have that perfectionistic mindset. So getting it wrong or doing it wrong feels detrimental because our value is attached to that component we talked about in the first secret, that component of being valued for what we do, right? So now we get to work out of that a bit by valuing who we are, by giving ourselves permission to fail, permission to get it wrong so that we can discover how to do it right. And then we have the fear of trying again and getting nowhere. This is a big one. I hit this one, oh God. Like I have 68 Kindle books on this stuff. I have over 140 physical books and then over 120 different courses, digital courses on this. They're books, they call them courses. Most of them are just PDFs and MP3s. But a lot of them didn't get me where I needed to go because they were not including that factual necessary step, that structure, the tool, and then the experiment to use to make the change happen. So this is where things get different when you work with me, because I'm about to give you an opportunity to change things, but I want to show you how this works for you. Now, sometimes we don't believe this could have an impact on your life. Sometimes we're scared of the impact it would have on our lives. Like change for us is a scary thing. Wouldn't we agree with that? I mean, type in the chat window. Yeah, that would be scary. If you can't find the chat window, let me see, because sometimes this thing hides it. What you do is you go to the More button, you click chat. Or you can do a Control or an Alt-H if you're on a Windows box. So, but yeah, that impact is scary. Change can sometimes in the immediate world be like, good Lord, I'm going to be hurting because I'm going to make a change where this is going to cause some pain. But long term, we're making an investment for ourselves. I call it paying love forward to our future self when we make difficult changes now. Okay, so these are the barricades of change that we come into. Now I want to talk about a client that came to me. Her name is being changed for her privacy because we deal with private things in this coaching world. But I changed her name to Liz. She came to me because she was facing big unwanted changes. She was having trouble in her marriage. She had made some decisions that had broken the trust in the marriage. And she'd made those choices in order to please her partner, her husband. She was struggling with a deep sense of shame and low worth. She had faced abandonment early on from her parents. Her parents didn't want her. She had to deal with some adoption issues that way. She had to face the idea of not being wanted, which is where we really come from, right? We're not being valued for who we are, so we don't end up feeling wanted. We end up feeling used, and we wonder what our value is if that's all they want from us is the thing that we provide. But she was struggling with that. And then it was hard for her to trust that it was okay to be seen and to be heard, that her husband would hear her. And she's scared to reach out and face this. This is what makes us badasses, because people pleasers and approval junkies, we are really badasses. We deal with so much difficulty in life. We deal with big, scary things. We ride the anxiety roller coaster almost on a daily basis, if not 3 or 4 times or 10 times a day. And we have the tenacity, the strength, the courage to keep going, to try to work this out. because we know there's a better future for us. We're badasses. And I want you to own that. That's my big thing. My movement in the world, my goal in all of this is teach other people, to give them the opportunity to witness their own badass self. Because I've done this for myself. And it breaks my heart to think that other people haven't had this opportunity, and they deserve it. You deserve it. Okay? So now we're going to kick some butt. So she comes to me with this. So we jump in with it. Okay? The old approach she's using is to try to fix your feelings. Oh, I'm going to fix how I feel so I can accommodate and fit in. Click. Is that something you guys can relate to doing? Changing what you feel so that you can fit in, so you don't upset the other person, you don't get their disappointment. So you're kind of like, oh, that feeling of bleh, I'm going to just push that aside and kind of like, okay, yep, I'm great with it. So you're saying yes to something you don't want to say to, that you want to say no to, something you don't want. Okay, that was her approach. She also did the lone wolfing. She did it on her own. Oh, I'll figure this out by myself. I'll read another book. I'll try it out again. Oh, I failed. She did some traditional therapy, and that helped her begin to understand where she was coming from, but she was really struggling with how to make transition from being the people pleaser into the badass that she is. So she reached out to me. And what I did for her is I gave her a structure. The structure is comprised of 10 steps, 10 core concepts that build a framework for us to deal with life. And then I gave her deliberate experiments that helped her discover new results and outcomes to old problems. See, that's the magic here. The system works, what I do works because you do it. The experiments are simple. Kind of like those questions we were using. Those were experiment examples, basically. What would it be like if I gave them permission to be disappointed in me? Is an experiment, because then you check in with how you feel. It's like, oh, I see what this means to me. I can do this. I like this. We can deal with it up front. And then we start to witness that we can have change. That gives us confidence, curiosity, and motivation to face our old problems with new tools. And then we get different results. We get honest results, results that will tend to favor us long term. Sometimes the short terms aren't all that great. I mean, I'll be honest. Like one of my short term results was I had to get a divorce. That was hard as hell. Broke my heart for my children, but it set me free so I could have relationships that made sense to me. And same for my ex-wife. She moved on, she married, she's found a beautiful man. They're happy together, they do their thing. I've moved on, I've had several relationships since then that have just been the best experiences in my life. So yeah, it's how it works. We get to explore. We don't have to be right anymore, but we have new tools that give us new approaches to old problems so we can get different results. Now, Liz had some interesting results as she took on this stuff. Her marriage turned around. She began to see that her husband really loved her. He was just totally into her, but he needed her to change these behaviors so that he could maintain that trust, intimacy, and not fidelity, but the fidelity of the marriage, meaning the integrity. He didn't have to leave it he didn't have to end a marriage in order to move on to find a healthier relationship for himself. She learned that she could be trusted, that she could be vulnerable and be safe in that trust and vulnerability. So she could trust, she could be trusted, she could be vulnerable, and she was safe in it, and it was reciprocated. That's what a real healthy relationship does. And she can live from a concrete sense of her worth. When she started doing that, she left the job she was in and found a better one that she really enjoys. She started getting engaged in these extracurricular activities that really edified her. She's happy. She's living her life. They just bought a new house. They're doing all this other stuff, like they're adopting and things like that. These are big dreams that they've been pursuing. And this has been made possible because of her changes within how she sees herself. She also has, that comes in with the direction of what she wanted in her life. And now they're taking that action. And she doesn't have a fear to be herself. Now, sometimes she has anxiety, but she doesn't live from it. She goes, oh, that anxiety inspires confidence. I know that I need to stand up here and be me. That's big results. What do you think about that? If you had results in your life, if you knew you could get those results with a structured system, you had the scripts and tools you needed, what would the results be for you? Let me know in the chat. Brienne's off taking care of one of the kiddos, I suspect. So, but Carolyn, Grace, and Lily, you're welcome to chat if you want to. You don't have to if you don't. But I want you to think about it. Write it on your paper if you're taking notes. Like, yeah, that would do this. This is what I'd be looking at. Like I mentioned, my plan is to go to Chernobyl next June. That's one of my plans. That's the thing that I'm going to do in response to me being the badass I am. Sounds insane, but yeah, it'll be cool. Really good talking point, huh? So other clients of mine have experienced big changes. Like we got Christy here. She was dealing with the loss of her home, the death of her husband, all these big things, and she's made it through. Cynthia, the same thing. She's dealt with big stuff, hard stuff, and he got through it. They were changing their lives. Lisa, the same thing. People make these changes. And these are just 3 people I picked off Facebook, like screen capped it, put it on here. But because these are testimonials on the Facebook wall. But over the 9 years, 24 people I've worked with, one-on-one. I mean, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you look at one-on-one work, between 6 months and 18 months worth of time, it's dedicated work to them because I have a pretty strict schedule that I follow, and I'm committed to the individuals making their way through this. So they experience these changes based on the structure I gave them and these tools to explore. So what kind of change do you need in your life? What do you really want for yourself? What keeps you awake at night? What drives you to change and grow? What's your big why? What brought you here? What is that end result you hope to find for yourself beyond getting past that anxiety of disappointing somebody else? What does that world look like for you? Let's see, Brianne says, one thing I worry about is that I will do or be wrong and upset people. And I think that'd be great to just be able to be myself. Yeah, absolutely. Right. You show up better in your marriage. You show up more authentic in that relationship. You deal better with the anxiety, better quality of life. Yes, 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 yes. Right. A lot of times people think, well, the big change needs to be a millionaire, or I need to I have some clients that come to me with this idea of they have to have a big change so it proves something about their worth, but that's not what we're going for. We're going for what you need, what you want. Happy marriage, quality of life improves because you don't have the anxiety as much or at all. You're taking little actions like, I want ice cream. I'm going to go get some ice cream. Okay. You're choosing you, right? What's your big why? My big why is to see how far I can go in things. So now that's how I approach the world. I do that because it's exhilarating. Okay. Can I help you get that change? Can I help you accomplish that? What would it mean to your future if you took the action for that change? What would it mean to your family? What would it mean to your business or your career? What would it mean to your dreams? I mean, isn't that why we want to do this change, is so we can accomplish our dreams, so we can actually experience them, so we don't have to live in our imaginations, but we get to go out and do it? That's kind of the point of all this change, isn't it? To do your big why, to do the thing that really matters to you. Okay. I want to give you an invitation to enroll in my premier course. It's in beta right now, so I'm developing the content side of it. But I want you to have an opportunity to get in now, to be in my course. I call it the Approval Junkie No More course. And the goal is to be the badass you really are. This is where you get the chance to get the structure, to get the scripts, to get the tools that create that outcome. So your old problems get different results and you start getting what you want. So this course comprises of tools that will create deeply faithfully love and value who you are. So the tools like what we were talking about in validating yourself in secret, number one, that's one of the tools in building this deep, faithful love and value about who you are. And I've got to work on my grammar there, don't I? So, but it also helps you master identifying and living from your A group. That's a big deal. Where do I fit is one of the biggest questions people pleasers are asking themselves. Where do I belong? Where's my tribe? Where are the people that love me? Where are the people that I love? Well, they're in the A group, but if you don't know what they look like, you don't know what they sound like, you don't know what they behave like, you're not going to find them. Now, Approval Junkie No More helps you also create, well, helps you be your powerful, confident, badass self by empowering you to know what you really want and who you really are based on your in-body awareness. It's called felt sense awareness. So we build it up from that way. It encourages you to grow through a natural, to become a natural at saying yes and no to things. Yes and no, how scary can that be? Especially because we're dealing with that disappointment of someone else. No is like a nuclear bomb, right? Scary. Well, what if you didn't feel that at all? Right? Oh, what if I could just be myself, say no, and not even think about it? Just like, I don't want that. Move on. You have so much more time in your head and your emotions in your day because you're not panicked about it or trying to analyze it or control it. Approval Junkie No More gives you the lifestyle framework that successful, loved, and happy people use. It comes with 10 different steps. These 10 different steps give you an alignment with your power, what I call real power. Helps you understand how you are a powerful person and helps you grasp a concept called natural powerlessness, personal autonomy, those kind of things. It taps you in, like step 2, that's step 1. Step 2 taps you into your curiosity. That's your superpower, and it enables you to accomplish a lot of things. Step 3, it's all about evolving you emotionally. That's where we get those scripts in so that your anxiety becomes confidence, where your doubt becomes curiosity, where your fear of rejection becomes an acceptance of where you belong. You're like, oh, this tells me I don't belong here. What do I want instead, right? Step 4 brings you into understanding who you are by loving and liking yourself. Step 5 is more about expanding on that nature of relating. Steps 6 and 7 deal with how to build relationships that work well. Steps 8 and 9 deal with goal planning and how to really know what you want in your life so that you can build and accomplish your dreams easily. You can take on the challenges you face. And step 10 is the capstone. It's where you thrive. It is the experience. So I don't have it in the slide here. I'm going to add it in the next one, I think. But there's those 10 steps there. And I'll actually send you the 10-step PDF. So let me write that down. Send step PDF. So you'll have that, okay? But the system I've created, the Approval Junkie No More course, gives you this ability to create these things. This is where your happiness is found, okay? So what you get in this course is you get the Approval Junkie No More course. It's priced at $1,497 bucks. It's also in beta, so I actually have, and don't run away, I have a price here that I think will be really appealing to you. Because when it's in beta, this is your chance to get in and do really big work without that price point. But you also get lifetime community access. This gives you, it's $500 a year, but it gives you lifetime access to real-time advice from me. You can post a question in there. I'm in there 3 or 4 hours a day. I post and repost and I answer questions. So you're getting interactive coaching from me. And especially at this point in time, it'll grow. So it's really cool. You can do a lot there. And then you get lifetime access to my weekly chit chat hour. This is like having a one-on-one session with me. I charge one-on-one sessions. I charge $350 an hour for. Well, they're 90-minute sessions, so an hour and a half. It's up there. But this is, and that's kind of where that price comes from. But live, you get it for an hour every week. So you can bring your questions to me, and we can work together on getting you a solution to that question. And that'll help you apply the course material and make that change. Now that's valued at like $6,991. So that's a price tag, but it's a big one. And there's a lot of value in that. And I have clients that have paid me far more than that to work with them and change their lives. But I'm going to throw in a bonus here, and it's called the Emotion Mastery Library. And this library is currently being built right now. It's over 26 recordings of live sessions with clients that address the things we've been talking about. So you can see and hear it happen real time. And be like, oh, I want to listen to this recording because it's about guilt, shame, and advocacy. And you get to see how this works. That's a big deal there. That's a big one. And we throw that in there, like it's in $1,000 value there, and we throw that in. And we've got the bonus number 2. And that's Simply Confidence, which is a meditation system that sets the foundation for valuing you. It gives you this opportunity to grow based on a meditative, simple phrase. And one of those phrases is like, I'm worth it too, or I matter too. And you would meditate on that for a period of 7 days. And this gives you that subconscious impact that makes the difference in your growth and change. So we add that in. So now the price, obviously, it likes to go up. Now, if you sign up, it's for the first 3 people only. You get 60 minutes with me. I call you, we tackle one thing that you're dealing with specifically, help that apply to the course. We get you some traction there. That's only for the first 3 people who sign up, okay? So I'm going to be posting a link here for that, but give me just a sec. Because of course, when the thing crashed, it threw all that off. There it is. Okay, so I'm putting this in the chat, and it'll also be in the review email. But you can get in on this, all of this $8,000 value here. It's going to go for $997 when it's done. It'll actually go for $1497 because I was going to initially do it for $997, but for $497. But I mean, you can click there. I don't know if you can click on the screen, but the link is in the chat. So you can get that. But what you get the course system, you get the community access, you get the live Q&A, you get the Emotion Mastery Library, Simply Confidence, the 60-minute one-on-one visit, all for that price of $497. Now, I want you to ask yourself some questions, because sometimes we're like, okay, it's money. I don't know what to do with that. That's scary. I'm not sure. But what if all this system, if you took it, you ran through it, and all it gave you was a more enjoyable life? Would it be worth it? What if it got you unstuck and moving towards your dreams? Would that be worth that time and investment? What if it gave you relief from the guilt and shame of being who you are? Would that be worth it? So I want you to think about that, because I invite you to enroll, to jump in, to give this a shot. Because if these things are worth it to you, you can accomplish that. So you can get that just for $497. Now, when you enrolled, I told you I had a secret. I had a thing coming up. I'm going to skip across a couple of things here to get to this benefit, because there's only 3 of you here, and I kind of want to give this to you. This is going to be fun. So we're going to go through this one. You had 2 choices. The first one is don't do anything and everything stays the same. The second one is, hey, take the leap, become the badass you are. Which one feels lighter to you? Which one feels heavier to you? Light is typically your body telling you, I like this. This makes sense to me. This is genuine. Heavy is like, this might not be what I'm looking for. Don't confuse anxiety for heavy. Fear is not a reason to do a thing or not do a thing. Heavy is like, oh, yeah, that's disgusting. I don't want that. Light is like, yes, please, I want this. Okay? So we're going to skip past that. Now you've stayed. You've been with me on this for 1 hour and 45 minutes, or an hour and 40 minutes, and an entire, technical screw up. So the pricing is great. It's good until 6 p.m. on Sunday. Then I'm going to close an enrollment so I can take the people who do enroll on board, get them situated. okay? But right now, with this coupon code, this JRY7, I'm going to post it because I can screen copy this. Can't I? Nope. I'm going to post it in the chat. You can get, go back. You can get this for $297. Okay, so that's almost half off that $497 price. Let me hit escape. So we move to this so I can copy this into the chat. Okay, that's the coupon code. You use that code, you'll get it for $297. So, okay, so that's it. We are done. So you can get it here for $497. Well, you can get it for $297 if you jump on that. But there's only 3 people that can get on it. It's a maximum of 3 uses. Now this, when we're done here, I'm going to upload this to my server, and it's going to go out to a list of over 300 people that have signed up for this. And so that can go very, very quickly. So I encourage you to take action on that. Okay, so just the last minute here. If you have any questions, I have 2 for you. What did you gain from this webinar? And what problem would you like me to discuss in the future? And I'd also like to know what you gained, or obviously that, but where you're at. What are you feeling? What's up for you in this? So I'm going to give this about a few minutes to respond. Then we'll call it. And I'm going to switch the view. Let's see. Nope. How do I turn off the? I'm going to turn on camera here. Don't stop the video. I really don't know this well enough yet. So, yeah, I'll stop sharing. Okay. All right, so now you can see me just here in my little office. So what questions do you guys have? Okay. Okay, thank you, Brianne. Yes, I'm glad you got tools that work for you there and that you can, you know, approach and handle when you don't feel worthwhile. Yes, you know, let me know on Facebook on my page, or you can instant message me or whatever, or something that comes up for your future. Okay. I thank you guys for attending today, for being a part of this. It's been an adventure. I think we got that other part sorted out. So I think we'll continue to use Zoom in the future here. But yep, reach to me out online. I am at, you can catch me Facebook at Free the South. And got messages, you got questions, just reach out to me there. Otherwise, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. And we're done.